Does VeriSign have a monopoly on the .com domains? And Coca-Cola's AI holiday commercials. This is Mac Voices. Mac Voices is brought to you by the 2024 Mac Voices Holiday Gift Guide. Gift ideas to give and get from all your Mac Voices friends. Hardware, coffee, bags, you never know what will be picked, but they're all great. Find our gift guide shows in the feeds, or visit the master list of gift guide picks in the blog section of the Mac Voices website at macvoices.com. The next one, we're going to trend dangerously close again to politics. The first one I didn't think we did. This one we definitely do. But Elizabeth Warren seems to be on a tirade against VeriSign.
Surprise.
Thank you, David. As you said it, and I didn't have to. Yeah. It feels like Elizabeth Warren just is out there just to make a name for herself on attacking things like this. No. And you want to follow up on that, Webb, please?
I do not.
Chicken.
Yeah.
But it's like I get to the point I'm having trouble taking her seriously anymore about some of this stuff. I mean, do you know of anybody that perceives VeriSign as a monopoly?
No.
All right. I'll step up. They've always had the monopoly on .com, and they've always overcharged. And I haven't read the article, so I don't know what the circumstances are that she's referencing specifically, but VeriSign has a longstanding reputation of being a domain purchase entity that you don't want to work with because they're going to screw you on the price. Does that make them a company that needs to have a monopoly or antitrust investigation? I don't know, because I don't know all the details. But I know I do not want to ever have to buy domains through VeriSign because I'm going to get screwed.
Jeff, so maybe you can educate us though. If I go to purchase jeffsunderpants.com and and I'm doing it. If you already have it.
I'm sure you just give them to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
The domain.
I'll throw them in the mail right now.
Yeah. If I go to buy it from VeriSign, they'll charge me an inflated price. Can't I go to some of the other domain registrars and purchase it and pay less?
Yes, you can.
So how is that then a monopoly?
See, and this is why I need to know more.
I don't think you can for .com.
Mm-mm. Yeah, you're still stuck.
Wait, all .com goes through VeriSign still?
Ultimately, I mean, there are others that it gets resold, but think about it. It has to be one.
Yeah, I mean, it went back to Network Solutions when they bought them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah. So
Okay. So I go back to it. Is this worthy of? To what Jeff said, is this worthy of an antitrust investigation? Even if they do have if they have the monopoly on the .com.
Well, just having a monopoly on .com isn't a problem. It's if you abuse that monopoly. And so I'm assuming that's what she is alleging with what she's doing right now. And I don't know, since I don't know the details on this.
She's saying that there's collusion, so that VeriSign keeps increasing prices, and the entity which could go back and say, hey, you can't do that, is cooperating with VeriSign to let them increase prices at the maximum rate possible, and VeriSign isn't adding additional services for the price increase or having something happen that could justify it. Now, whether it's right or not, I don't know. I'm just reading out of the article. So, it sounds like maybe there's enough there to have some hearings and discuss it. There are other places, certainly, where there's antitrust activity that I have no understanding of what they're thinking. This, at least on the surface of it, looks like maybe there's enough there to at least look at it.
All right. If that's the case, then sure, they should look into it. And then if they come back afterwards and say, oh, okay, yep, not a problem, totally fine.
So just for the fun of it, I just went to VeriSign and searched for jeffsunderpants.com. It tells me it is available, but it does not give me a price. There's a thing that a little pop-up that says, I need to buy it. But I don't see any way to actually purchase it here. Yet if I go over to hover.com, I see it's available and I can buy it right now very easily for $18.99. So the idea that they're
paying VeriSign.
Well, I'll go with that, Jim. But I guess my point is that the worst thing VeriSign is doing directly is kind of blocking me from knowing what the price is to buy that domain.
Well, that's okay. The question is, was it $18.99 last year? Or was it 20% cheaper? And 20% is the maximum you can raise the rate. And does it need to be raised by 20% every year? Just because you can doesn't necessarily mean it makes sense.
Okay. I'm in the position for some reason of potentially defending VeriSign. So not that I necessarily agree with that, but .coms are still the gold standard on the web, no matter how many times .net or some of the others try to get there, or .co or all the other top-level domain names. And so isn't this a case potentially of supply and demand? That if I want to...
But Chuck, they're not... if they're the gold standard, it's not because of anything VeriSign has done, right? They haven't made a better product. They just lucked into the monopoly to bend .com domains. So, it's purely rent seeking. But whether this rises to the level that the U.S. senator should be, but what else is she going to do?
Well.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll quote what, I'm on VeriSign's website. It says, VeriSign's critical yet most costly and visible role helping to maintain the security, stability, and the resiliency of the domain name system and the internet. I mean, that sentence right there tells me they're maintaining and their responsibilities to make sure that there's no DNS abuse, that support the efforts that ICANN does. But to buy one, they don't sell them. They have the third party companies like Hover and GoDaddy and any other domain.
They don't sell them at retail.
Right. Do not sell them. So they're more supporting the infrastructure part of it.
It's like saying, well, you don't buy a Ford car from Ford, you buy it from a car dealer. And that would be like saying, but that Ford has nothing to do with how much you pay. Just because you can't buy the car from Ford doesn't mean that Ford has an awful lot to do with how much it costs.
I feel like there's an analogy here to champagne as only being able to come from that province in France as opposed to sparkling wine.
Except for Corbel.
It's just a sparkly
Corbel.
Or Corbel, yeah. I mean, okay, so if they have it and people want it, what's the obligation to? I mean, Apple has MacBook Pros. Everybody wants one, but do they have an obligation to drop the price or reduce the price? I still struggle with this concept.
MacBook Pro is but the point is, why does VeriSign have the right to this, to sell you this? Apple makes MacBook Pros. right? It's something they created out of nothing. But, .com is just something that happened to fall into VeriSign's lap. It used to be something that was done basically for free by some international agency. And so it's completely artificial and arbitrary. I'm not saying nobody, that they do nothing of value and they shouldn't be paid, but it doesn't mean that they should be able to, just because they have, they did get a monopoly. And the thing is, it's not a complete monopoly because you can go and get a .co or, something like that. And these days, I think the value of a .com is a lot less because people just Google anyway. So, but if you look at other top level domains, some of them are cheaper. And it's not because there's something more quality, like, oh, the servers that run that domain are, use gold plating or whatever. It's all the same.
So I think I'm hearing from a lot of you that you think this is potentially worthy of some discussion as far as it potentially being a monopoly.
Well, it is a monopoly. There's no question that they have a monopoly on .com. It's
whether or not they're abusing their position.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, stay tuned. We'll find out. See if this goes anywhere.
Well, don't they have to decide by the end of November?
Oh, they better hop on it then. Because
the whole reason this came up is that there's an agreement, like a 6-year agreement cycle, saying that who is it? VeriSign, NTIA, and ICANN, saying that VeriSign has this domain. And so every once in a while that gets renewed. So if November 30th is the next renewal, that's probably why this is coming up. And part of that renewal is saying, hey, are you behaving responsibly with whatever it is this contract is that you're given? So to me, this is just Senate oversight. It's kind of what they should be doing. Everyone comes in and says, yeah, all the stuff we're doing, all of the additional pressures that are going on, we've got a lot more things we have to do. Yeah, we need to be able to charge more. Or, maybe it's not us that's charging it. Maybe it's, we're doing wholesale charging and somebody else is adding to that cost. I don't, that part I don't know. But at least asking the question, that's probably worth it. I mean, otherwise there's no oversight. And if you think there should be no oversight and no regulation, that's a separate question. But at the moment, there's supposed to be, so somebody needs to at least ask the question.
Yeah, I guess it says the 6-year agreement is up for review on November 30th. And then a new 6-year period will, presumably this doesn't have to be decided in the next 4 days. Maybe that's when its review can start. I'm not sure.
Well, it says that the terms of the agreement are up for review on November 30th, before the start of Trump's second term, leaving the outgoing Democratic administration with an opportunity to put in place pricing rules that apply for a 6-year period as a parting gift.
Well, the government has granted a monopoly to VeriSign for this. That's where VeriSign's authority comes from. And so, therefore, the government has the right to have oversight.
Well, we'll see what happens on November 30th or before then.
It's like the electric company. They are subject to the rules of, usually a commission or something, right? They can't just do whatever they want. At least I don't know if that's true everywhere. And here in California, we have an insurance board, so insurance companies can't do whatever they want.
Pretty standard in most states.
Yeah.
So this is a similar kind of thing.
Yeah. Again, we'll see. Did anybody see the Coca-Cola commercials, the AI-generated Coca-Cola commercials that have caused such a stir? Brian, I saw your hand go up. Marty, I think I saw your hand go up. Okay. Well, Eric? No, Webb, you haven't. Okay. This is again
Really watch TV.
the title of the article is, can we all basically just calm down about this? And that's sort of where I am. I saw it. I said, okay, it's AI generated. Is it a big surprise that we're going to see anything AI generated?
I love the fact that people on TikTok are screaming about how fake this is, and they're on TikTok.
Yeah. Exactly.
I haven't seen these ads. So, in my ignorance, let me ask, are these ads that have been created to appear as if they're like, or are they like other holiday ads that Coca-Cola has done where they're clearly some form of animation? And if there's some form of animation, then whatever.
Yep.
This is no different.
This might come as a shock to you, but the complaints are because Santa was AI generated. So he looks nothing like the real Santa.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no real Santa.
I look like the real Santa.
Yes.
Coke is the arbiter of what Santa looks like because our Santa is a Coca-Cola character. I'm okay. Once again, I'm at a loss with this story. I haven't seen the ads. I'm not seeing the problem. They're not trying to deceive people with the ads, and they have done ads that are clearly animated in some way for decades and decades.
I go to the zoo. I expect to see two polar bears sharing a Coke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, here in Colorado, they're sharing a joint, but it's the same idea.
Yeah.
Why do you let me on the show?
I don't know. I just messed up my tracking again. Just thank you, Jeff.
No, it tracked your facepalm. That was great.
Yeah. It's put me back where I'm supposed to be. To answer your question, Jeff, I guess if you really believe that, these people could be real, I didn't feel like they were really trying to deceive you and say, oh, these are absolutely happy people with all the crazy stuff going on in the background that is AI generated. I mean, the people they confirmed the people are AI generated, but it's just like, okay. I mean, sort of to Marty's point, with the polar bears, first time you saw that, there was no question about what it was and what it was trying to do. And so I as the article said, I can't get excited over this, but a lot of people have.
Well, that's great
People are
publicity for
entitled to their
Coca-Cola.
opinion, and if enough people feel like that, then we'll go back to classic Coke.
People singing on mountainsides.
My concern is that the polar bear artists maybe aren't being as fully employed.
What does their union have to say about this?
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to ask the polar bears.
Well,
I really ads though.
I know you're being flippant, Eric, but I think that is one of the things. There's still this reaction that we're putting people out of business by using AI. Coke, as I recall some of the comments here and also some others I've seen, Coke said basically we're experimenting. We're using the latest stuff like everybody does.
But they have been doing this experimenting for decades. They didn't just switch and say, oh, we're going to lay off all of our artists and try this new thing. They've been trying new things every single year, and each year they've had different animation sequences and different kind of special effects sequences. So it's not like they all of a sudden changed in an effort to avoid paying somebody, as far as I know.
You know, still, without having seen these ads, I cannot imagine that you could feed a prompt into a generative AI model and have it create a finished ad spot for you. This is one of those things, like all the other computer generated animations that Coca-Cola and other companies use, where you have to have trained specialists that know their craft, and they're actually hands-on with part of the creative process. Yes, hands-on may be on a computer keyboard, but we're not at the point yet where you can just say, "Hey, yes, lady, make me this year's Coke holiday commercial," and have a 30-second spot ready to roll.
You can get some interesting results with pretty simple prompts. But the more sophisticated you want it to be, the more sophisticated the query has to be, or the iteration has to be. Would you agree with that, Marty?
Yeah, that the more you put in, the better you get in terms of results. It's a function, and when I talk about or teach about AI, it's like trying to create the best. Just dump everything in that you think will help it generate what you need to generate. So I've got a comment. If you go through this article, there is a video just above "Spare the Pearl Clutching" title, and it looks like what they're doing here is this is a whole ad campaign that's tied into an app. So you scan your can of Coke and you have the app, and then you can connect with Santa. And so this is not, I mean, it's intentional AI for the purpose that it's tied to, unless they're going to employ a bunch of Santas and FaceTime them. That's how the product's being used.
Is there any chance that Coca-Cola engineered this controversy to get more publicity for this ad campaign?
Consulted with Drake's lawyers.
I'm actually kind of serious. I mean, I hadn't seen these ads before, and now I've heard of them. It's like, well, so what? Some people complained on TikTok and LinkedIn. Who cares?
Jim, the only thing I think it's a very fair question, but boy, with all the controversy over AI generated content taking jobs out of Hollywood and away from animators and all, that would be an awfully dangerous game to play. Just to get some publicity.
I guess I'm sort of facetious, but it's sort of like, it seems to me like if anybody's getting what's the word here? Calm down. If anybody needs to calm down, it's Fast Company. And why is there even this article?
I'll push back on that one, because Fast Company's not the only place I've seen this. I've seen this on network news. I've seen several articles about this, all of them slamming Coke because Coke used AI to create the holiday ad. Oh my God!
Fast Company's not slamming Coke, but you're saying the network news had aired criticism of Coke. Another reason why I don't watch network news.
They report.
I mean, seriously,
reported.
Why would I want a network story about that?
Well, they reported on the controversy. I mean, I think from a sensational standpoint, because it was something that people were talking about, and so in the interest of covering things that people are talking about, they presented this. And so they weren't directly slamming Coke, but they certainly the story was that, hey, Coke did this, and there's a backlash of people that don't like it because it's AI. Brian?
The article doesn't even say that's the reason why. It says it's not enough Santa.
What? Brian?
I was just kind of on Jim's point as far as like I hadn't seen this commercial either prior to seeing the article and then flipping through. I think different than Fast Company, I also saw another one on my Flipboard feed too. Yeah, I mean, from a streaming standpoint, I stream the options that usually are ad supported, and I don't remember seeing this anywhere. And then I'm thinking, well, the other time I watch live television is for sports, and I don't recall seeing it during sporting events either. But so I'm just wondering, in this day and age, maybe how many eyeballs are on this. But I think you also brought up the point, Chuck, that a little bit of that sensational news too that maybe the networks were promoting.
Yeah, well, you know how the networks are. Everything is an emergency. Everything is a crisis. Well, you're chuckling. You want to add to this? Are you up past your bedtime? Web?
No, just okay, fine. It's
Personally, I am calm enough. I think we can.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.